Today, I'm gonna build a bracket to carry a couple jerry cans on the back of the Wrangler here. All right, so I got a little bit of a mess going on here. I have this fold down tire carrier that I built, and this is temporary. You know, it kills the departure angle. It's a real pain to have to swing it down. Eventually, I want to build a tire carrier that swings out, kind of like I think it's Metal Cloak makes a really cool one. So eventually I want to do something like that. For now, I want to be able to carry a couple jerry cans, and my thought process is if I mount 2 jerry cans on the tailgate, kind of like this, I can carry one with gas in it this winter and maybe find a box for the other side for some of my gear. Because when you have the rear seat in, which I have to for my kid, you lose a lot of space, and this cargo area is small anyway. And on top of that, I just got a fuel cell. So whenever I put that fuel cell in, which I don't know when I'll be able to do that, but when I do put it in, I'm going to lose all that cargo space. So right now and through the next few videos, you'll see me trying to come up with good storage solutions for this Jeep. So on top of my tire carrier, I also have my mountain bike rack. It's just plugged in to the center. There's a little stud there for one of those jerry can holders that came with the Jeep, but he never gave me the holder for it. But I was able to just take my bike mount and drill a hole and bolt it down. It's on there pretty securely, and that's also temporary because it sits up so high. I'll come up with a better solution for carrying that rack whenever I build out the swing out carrier. But for now, for today's video, we're going to work on building the bracket. They'll go on here and hold 2 mounts and still leave room for the spare tire to swing up. And I'm also hopefully gonna have like a little attachment point here that attaches to this to kind of give this tire carrier a little more stability. Today's video is unknowingly sponsored by Twin Cedars Power Washing, my brother's company. I say unknowing because while he knows I'm using his shop and his equipment, he doesn't know that I'm using all the scrap metal that he has laying around. So I do appreciate the scrap metal that I was able to steal from you. Anyway, let's keep going. So to start, I am gonna mount a 1x1 square tube using the factory holes here. I've already eyeballed it. It's gonna be about 24 inches. Well, I didn't eyeball it, I measured it. I measured this point, butted up against this bracket over here to just before the door is 24 inches. And then I'm just going to transfer where the holes are. It doesn't need to be perfect because the first holes I'm going to cut are going to be this whole section right here. That way I can fish this these bolts down through, and if I cut this big enough and then drill a hole on the other side, these bolts will be able to sit inside the square tubing, and then I don't have to worry about bolt heads rubbing against the plastic jerry cans. And then for the bottom, I have another piece of square tube. I'm gonna do kind of the same thing. So now I'm gonna go over to the drill press, drill some holes, cut this off, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I got those holes drilled and these brackets mounted. Now, this is kind of a tight fit for 2 jerry cans. If I was just gonna mount one, it'd probably be better. But I think I like the look of 2. And they're gonna have to sit on there kind of centered. So now I just need to find a good way to hold these up in place while I try to sort out the brackets. It would have been easier if the tailgate was wider. Then I could have just built a basket for these and bolted it on there. But I'm dealing with, you know, this can't sit back too far, and there's limited space between the spare tire and the back. Those just barely fit. So now I'm going to try to figure out how to finish off this bracket on the outside to make those fit. The idea is coming together. Here's what we're looking at right now. So if I mount those at about this height, that gives me enough room between the tire and this. I can't run another square tube through there unless maybe I go down lower, which is actually you know, a decent idea. But I'm thinking maybe I'll use that flat strap. This ends up with the tanks being about nearly level with the bottom of the tailgate. So what I'm going to do now is measure that, and I will cut some chunks of 1-inch square tube and weld that on, and then weld a leg out. So these will sit down on that leg. I'm going to take another piece of 1-inch square tube in the center, somewhere in here, and run it between the two cans so that it hits this. It needs to be in such a way that when I push that up into place, the pin slides in, and hopefully that gives this a little bit more stability, something to push against. For the time being, I've had a ratchet strap or a cinch strap going through there and running back to my roll cage, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just run a ratchet strap around the top and pull it tight to that. I'm not going to be getting in here very often. I'm hoping that I don't need this high lift. If I need my shovel, I can get to it. And for the time being, maybe I'll just mount that on the rear. Maybe I'll end up mounting it on this. This gives me a lot of options. All right, so it's all prepped. I have the midway point marked. Doesn't need to be exact, right? It's just want to be somewhat close. So now I'm just going to take my little legs that I cut, and those will be on there like that, and then this will weld at a 90 to it. All right, so the wind is picked up. I hope you can hear me all right. I'm just using the GoPro, and its mic isn't the best, but I went ahead and finished the bottom piece. So that's what we're dealing with now. Got it all welded up. Of course, I decided to throw this piece on willy-nilly, and there's not enough room, so I'm gonna have to notch this and cut that out. So I'm gonna take it off in a minute and go do that. But that's kind of what it will look like. The two jerry cans, Scepter cans, will sit on there, and I'm thinking in the middle, so level with this bar, I'm thinking I'll run a bar from the top down. That will give it, you know, some up and down support right there. And then I'll be able to run one out so that this bumps against that. And if I have room, I'll run a flat strap all the way around. I kind of, you know, you're limited because you have the handle on this side and the hinge on that side. It would have been easier, you know, if you were running just the jerry can mount, it'd be easier to step it out, space it out, and build a rack that was fit for your two jerry cans. This one is smaller than it needs to be, but I'm thinking, I mean, worst case scenario, and it's actually, that's pretty close to what it needs to be. You know, those spaced out a little bit, an inch or so, with that bar in the middle. But I might just drill a hole and have like a little eyelet right there for a strap to go around, and then drill a hole on this bottom piece so you have a strap that holds it over the top, and then do the same thing with that center one and run a strap, kind of how I'm holding these together right now, so everything's held nice and tight to the Jeep without having to have a bunch of extra metal. I have run out of time for the day, but I'm pretty pleased with how it's turning out. I'm able to push this up, it hits this bump stop. I was thinking about adding like a lever there to hold that in place, but I think that would put too much stress on the tailgate there. So what I'll probably do is add an eyelet or just use the wheel itself. I've been running a strap into my roll bar through the window. I leave these open all the time, and that holds it up in place pretty good. Well, this will give it something to rest against, so I can run that strap there. You know, kind of janky doing it that way, but it works. So there's what the bracket looks like so far. I'm going to drill a hole here, and I got some eyelets to go in there. Same with down here. I might just run the strap around for now. I'm undecided. I have this hole here that gave me the idea of running some all thread out and then having a flat piece of strap that kind of hooks around, and I can tighten it down that way. But I might just run a strap. That might just be easier. But that's what we're looking at so far. The cans sit up there and look pretty good. Like, I dig that. I think that looks great. I did notice that there is not a lot of support underneath, so I'm going to run another little crossbar just across this all the way across, just so I don't have to worry about, you know, if this were to come loose at all, not falling down there. Just give it adequate support. And then if I want to carry, you know, like I said, that ammo can or something, that'll work on there too. So I got to take this off, finish welding it. I'm probably going to paint it once it's off, drill my holes and put everything on. And then, so next time I show you, it should be the done deal. Well, I'm finally getting around to editing this video, and I realized either I forgot to film it or I deleted it, but I never filmed an outro or a final walk around of this jerry can holder. So this is what we ended up with. I was even able to lock the cans on there. Not that someone couldn't siphon it out, but they're empty unless I'm on a trip. But you can see the bracket bolts on, got the uppers and the lowers. You can see that L shape that I welded on there, and a front piece. My brother had these strap, I don't know what you want to call them. They're like a preformed tie down thing, so I was able to weld those on. I got my center eyelet, it's threaded in, and that allows these straps to kind of put a little more tension on it. This post comes out to hit the tire carrier when it's on. I threw some rubber on there just to help with the rattling. But as you can see, those two straps on there, man, those are on there real tight. Had it on a few outings and it works really well. I got those eyelets in there that the strap's able to thread through, and then I even welded on the nut for those so I can screw it in. I think I still put a nut on the bottom side, but yeah, everything works really good. And that's that. So as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate, you know, if you subscribed and liked and commented. That always helps me out, and I'll see you guys next time.